Mr. Naruhodo. What on earth were you playing at just now? Or rather, what on earth were you playing at all along? I should be asking you that. My hypothesis! My business hypothesis! You've been picking holes in it from the start! Ah, sorry about that. But you promised me! You said you proved that Dread Explosion was an accident, not murder. You said you'd keep my precious invention from falling in anyone else's hands. But all you've done so far is try to undermine me. Yes, I did make you a promise. You're right. I said that I'd believe in you and fight for your freedom to the very end. But I also told you I was no scientist. I don't understand your hypothesis. The fact is, there's an undeniable flaw in your logic, isn't there? But if I just run through some equations... Yes, you see, it's because my work is incomplete. Perhaps it is. Nevertheless, a man died as a consequence, didn't he? Oh. Oh, no! You're right. You're so right. It's all my fault. And I have no right to blame you for my failures. I'm a disaster. No, not just as a scientist, but as a human being! Well, that might be a little over the top. And while we're on the subject... What about Barrick? He's being awful! Claiming his old university friend to be a murderer, you mean? Oh, that was Ryunosuke. He's a disaster, not just as a prosecutor, but as a human being! Oh, but no, wait. He's the Reaper, isn't he? Perhaps he's not classified as Homo sapiens anymore? God bless Harebrane! Glad that's cleared up. Can I double check something with you? Ah, yes? What? The machine and demonstration you prepared. They were based entirely on your hypothesis, I presume? There was no trickery involved? I drew the plans for the machine with my very own hands. Every line was painstakingly drawn with the firm belief that science is the only future. So yes, it's true that my hypothesis hasn't reached maturity yet, but please, Mr. Naruhodo, you must believe in it. Alright, Professor. I understand. Counsel, defended! The prosecution's witnesses are ready to take the stand. Court is about to be in session again. Make your way to the courtroom, please. It all hinges on that demonstration. If the professor's hypothesis is sound as he claims, it leaves him as the only person who could possibly have killed the victim. But on the other hand, Mr. Sholmes was adamant. A practical implementation, such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition, is quite impossible. So really, what should I be trying to prove here? This whole thing feels really weird, but yeah, no, it's weird because I don't know how to go about this at all. I don't know what I'm trying to actually prove here. We'll come to the truth of the matter eventually. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsel for the defense and prosecution, are you ready for the new witnesses to testify? The prosecution is ready, my lord. As is the defense, my lord. So, Lord Van Zieks, I believe these next witnesses saw the demonstration on the day in question with their own eyes? Indeed, they did. As luck would have it, one of them is a police detective. So the testimony we're about to hear can be considered highly reliable. Perfect. The detective of all people. The prosecution's stance remains unchanged. Though it ended in tragedy, the demonstration on the day in question was scientifically sound. And consequently, the sole person with the opportunity to have committed this act of murder is the only other individual to have been present on the stage at the time, the accused. Thank you, counsel. The prosecution's position is clear. So, bring forth your witnesses now. Bailiff, show the witnesses in. I just realized who one of them might be. The witnesses' whole proximity to the incident on the day in question will clarify the truth unequivocally. Oh. Okay, there we go. I was like, where's Gina? There's Gina. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court to hear. My name is Balthazar Loon. I am the impresario of all the hot air balloons in vicinity of the Harebrane stage. My name is Willem Grosset. Okay, Gabe, seriously? Come on! My name is Wilhelm Gottsreich Sigmund Umstein. I have come to see the Great Exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia. Is this a real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. I'm very rich. What? Inspector J. Lestrade, Scotland Yard. I'm a great detective, even Sherlock Holmes agrees. I was on security at the exhibition and I got to go up in one of them balloons. It was amazing. Gina, again. I gotta do a lot of voices for this one. But she did mention that she'd seen a disaster from up in a balloon, actually, didn't she? And she clearly loved every minute of it. There were 3 balloons flying near the public experimentation stage when the incident occurred. 2 of these witnesses were in one such balloon at the time and saw events unfold from the skies above. You make it sound like they were in the clouds. It was only an altitude of circa 60 feet. Very low. Well, you can't say nothing if you fly too high, can you? 60 feet. About 18 meters then. Thank you for your introduction. So now you will give your formal testimony for the court. Kindly describe exactly what you witnessed, especially those of you who had a vantage point about the stage. Here we go. It was an incident terrible, no, yeah, that's what he said. It was an incident terrible. I'm only grateful that my balloons were not damaged. There's this huge bang from the stage, and then next second, a bang in the sky beside us. And from amidst the smoke, a cage appeared out of nowhere. The cage, it fell from the sky like a stone and crashed into the crystal tower. I didn't get a good look inside the cage, but never went near it after it crashed into the tower. So there was a second explosion then, essentially. A most extraordinary collective account, I must say. Could I just clarify something? There's a detail in the witness's testimony that I've not heard any mention of until now. Specifically, that there were 2 explosions. More precisely, 2 explosions in 2 separate places. Yes. When the demonstration began, the balloon carrying the 2 witnesses was around here. There were other balloons in the air nearby at the time, carrying other passengers as well, to be clear. Then, as power was supplied to the machine for the demonstration, the first explosion occurred. The so-called bird cage that contained the victim disappeared from the stage, and a moment later, the second explosion occurred, directly adjacent to the balloon carrying the witnesses. The bird cage appeared at the side of the explosion, subsequently to plummet down to the crystal tower. I was very surprised. Suddenly a cage appeared before my eyes with a person inside. The blast was so hot, but I didn't want to miss a thing, so I kept mine eyes wide. I still have lots of money. Gotcha. Precisely, who is this curious infant? Who is this child in the stand? I'm told he is a young noble of Bohemian royalty. I was this close to saying Bohemian Rhapsody. I was that close. I almost said it. Apparently, he disguised himself in order to steal unnoticed into the Great Exhibition. Yeah, I'm here in London on a sightseeing tour to visit my elementary school. We will have the benefit of a child's point of view in the testimony. Do we really need that? When my mask, this is what I look like. Ah, yes, I see. A delightful face, I'm sure. Yeah, everybody says so. Great disguise, then. The point is, the testimony of these witnesses further substantiates the facts for the court. Namely, that despite ending an explosion, instantaneous kinesis was successfully demonstrated. And furthermore, that until the arrival of the police, no one approached the Crystal Tower where the victim fell. Therefore, only the accused, who was with Mr. Asman on the stage, could possibly have committed the murder. Yes, thank you, counsel. The prosecution's views on the matter are quite clear. So, the defense's cross-examination now, please. Yes, my lord. Alright, I think we're just gonna go ahead and press the statements. Hold it! For now. There were 3 balloons flying above the experimentation stage at the time, I understand. See. All 3 of them. Oh, you're Italian. Should have realized that. Ma bellissimi bambini. They're very popular, signor. Some people will pay £10 for one ride. £10? That's more than my annual stipend. £20 a month, that is my pocket money. Shut up! Royals have all the luck. I got up there for free, I did. Played the old I work for Her Majesty police card, you know? Detectives have all the luck. If they're so popular, why would you only be operating such a small number of balloons, though? Because if I have too many in the skies, they could crash into each other. The operators for the balloons were decided by lots, which each operator made a particular area. See, and the zone above the public experimentation stage is the most profitable. The other impresarios, they hate me. I'm a piece of Thank you, witness. I think the court has a clear picture on the arrangements for the balloon rides at the exhibition. Perhaps we could hear more about what you actually witnessed of the incident? Right, I can fill you in there, my lord. There's a huge bang from the stage, and then the next second, another bang in the sky beside us. Hold it! So you actually saw the accident happen from up in the air? Yep. Isn't it amazing what a detective gets to do, eh? I'm telling you, Otto, being a lawyer is a mug game. You should join the force so we can go flying together. You know me so well. Yes, well, anyway, could you tell us exactly what you saw, do you think? Everything. You saw everything, because we were up above it all. That dodgy cove climbing on the stage, that dodgy professor pulling all them levers. And that's what happened. That's what it was, that a massive bang and the cage disappeared. Just like that. Are you describing the moment the subject's body was decomposed by the electricity, I believe? I didn't know what to make of it. But then there was another bang, right in me ear. I looked around, and there was a huge great fireball right next to us in the sky. There was nothing there before. Excuse me. Master Gotts, does your memory of the day differ? My teacher at elementary school said that when you meet someone for the first time, you should always use their full name. Shut up. Yes. What was it again? Wilhelm Gottreich Sigmund Ornstein, I think. Just the 4 names, then. The point is, do you have something to say? Something to add in response to Detective Gina Lestrange's last remark, perhaps? Oi, get it right, Otto! It's Inspector Lestrade! Why does everyone have a problem with how I address them at the moment? That is not what I saw. Oh? Yeah, there was a second explosion and it was right beside a balloon, that is true. But I'm sure. Which is what I said, ain't it? 1 minute there is nothing there and then that's a massive explosion. My teacher at elementary school says that when someone else is speaking, if you are rude enough to interrupt, you will have the most awful life imaginable. Are all Bohemians brought up to be so full of joy? Just before the second explosion happened next to our balloon, I clearly witnessed a green balloon flying into the sky. A green balloon? Eh? You what? I never saw nothing like that. Well, I did! I saw it! And you can't say I did it! I will complain to the council! I will cry and scream! My testimony is the truth! I am Bohemian Prince! You cannot say it's a lie! That is not allowed! Play with the bleeding royalty card, are you? Typical. Says the orphan who likes to remind people she works for Her Majesty's police. In that case, young man, I must ask you to amend your formal testimony. In the interest of cordial national relations between Great Britain and Bohemia, it was not the skies that exploded. It was a green balloon that was next to us at the time. Okay, well, since we have that new testimony, let's take a look at this green cloth we conveniently have. It looks like layers of thick canvas with a thick rubber lining of sorts. I've never seen anything like it before. But apply Mr. Schulm's methods, you might deduce it was part of a raincoat worn by someone who really didn't want to get wet. And the charring must have occurred when the person was struck by lightning. Or maybe not. So, with that in mind, what we actually want to do, now that we know about the green balloon, that bit was there, we have this green piece of cloth, and on the first statement, he said that none of the balloons were damaged. This could be part of a balloon that was damaged.
Objection!
Mr. Loon, in your testimony, you said that all 3 of the balloons you had operating at the time were undamaged. See, that is correct. If they haven't gotten the explosions, it would have been terrible. I'm getting my accents mixed up now. I wonder if you might know what this is. I think that it may be... See, part of a balloon. A burnt piece of the fabric of the envelope. Sorry? The envelope? Pardon. That is the large round part of the balloon, which comes filled with hot air. It is made from very thick fabric lined with rubber. You do not want to rip it off when you are in the sky. Just as I thought. This piece of cloth was found near the experimentation stage. In other words, as Master Gotts testified, a green balloon did indeed explode that day. Eh? If all the balloons in the sky above the experimentation stage belong to you, Mr. Loon, then your statement that they were all undamaged clearly contradicts the evidence. No! But what does that prove? If a balloon exploded that day, why didn't the man say so? Everyone on board was killed. Oh no! I just spent the 10 pounds for the experience. How awful! Seems to me like those things crash 50% of the time anyway.
Objection!
The instantaneous kinesis did occur, but after the explosion on the stage, the point of the materialism shifted to a location occupied by a balloon. Causing the balloon to explode? Yes, eminently plausible. An unfortunate traffic accident, as it were, but it changes nothing about the pertinent facts. This I cannot accept. Why not, Mr. Loon? You're suggesting that I am a liar. The person started a balloon incidente. There's no need to get fired up, Mr. Loon. The victim was the sole fatality that day. That's right, and I prove it. Balthazar Loon is not a liar. There was no such balloon in the sky. It is not possible. You're saying it's impossible? Why? This court has more important matters to discuss than the number of balloons that were operating that day. Aye!
Objection!
But we can't ignore the fact that nobody appears to have known anything about this other balloon until now. My lord, the defense calls for further testimony from Mr. Loon. I concur. There is clearly more to the truth here than meets the eye. It's imperative that we clear up the issue of this phantom balloon, I feel. Witness, you will give supplementary testimony about the balloons who were operating at the exhibition. Ah, grazie, my lord. As I said, Balthazar Loon is a liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely. All three of my balloons were carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground, it would explosion or the catastrophe. But you can't get away from the fact that a burnt-up bit of cloth was found at the scene, can you? The coppers of the yard reckon it was probably some debris thrown for the explosion on stage. This stupid Grasso was mistaken. My balloons had the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway. Ah. So that means plenty. So your assertion that the balloon this child saw was not one belonging to you? Sì, esattamente. Even if we saw the balloon in the first place. I do not like the sound of it. It is very bad for business. I have a good mind to sue the land of Bohemia. If you attack us, we will fight first. It will be war or war. Oh my god. That resolved quickly. What happened to all-out war? Mr. Loon certainly does appear to be lying, but that doesn't change the fact that the testimony and evidence are contradictory here. If the defense is unable to find fault with the witness's statements, the court must consider them to be truth. Think long and hard on that, my lord friend. The situation has clearly changed now. I have to get to the bottom of what happened here, no matter what it takes. Counsel, you may now cross-examine the witnesses. Alright, one more time. Alright, I'm just gonna go ahead and press.
Hold it!
Just gotta press. You couldn't just have forgotten one, maybe? Signor, I might not notice if I was given 100 lentils and one was missing. But we are talking about 3 enormous balloons. Do you believe I could make a mistake about something so grand and expensive? I took the liberty of having Inspector Gregson check this gentleman's warehouse. I have the report here. It clearly says a total of 3 balloons. It would appear no mistake has been made then. Surely Miss Lestrade could have been sent for such a menial task. What, me? I'll tell you what I told the boss. He'd say kids like me can only count up to 2. Obviously that ain't true, but the boss bought it and said he'd have a go himself in that case. Ha. Alright. What do I have to say to this? It would be quite a catastrophe if they fell to the ground for any reason, I think. On that note, Mr. Lunet, tell me, what is it that keeps those balloons in the sky? Are you an idiota? Sorry? That isn't like asking why does a candle burn bright? It burns bright because it burns bright. The balloon flies because it flies. What else? Hot gas. Dude, like, you have hot gas thing running in your hat, bro. Like, can you not be a little more specific? That must be Italian for I don't know. There are two types of flying balloons. Hot air balloons and gas balloons. Hot air balloons work on the principle of hot air being less dense than cold air. Whereas gas balloons derive their lift by using a gas that is lighter than air. See, and my balloons are filled with the magic gas, I believe. Hydrogen, lighter than air, but highly explosive. Good lord! I do not permit smoking and cigarettes in any of my balloons. The magic gas is not like fire. Even a small spark of static electricity could cause the entire balloon to explode. What is the matter with you, senor? All that comes out of your mouth is esplosione, esplosione! I tell you, my balloons are perfectly safe. They have to be. Or I cannot eat. None of my balloons exploded that day. I'm completely sure. But if you still say that is what happened, you must show me the proof. Alright, so Mr. Luna had 3 balloons in the air that day. If none of them were damaged, then what was the one that exploded? Okay. Hold it! I was surprised to find the piece of fabric still at the scene, actually. Didn't you search the area surrounding the stage for clues? Nah, I'm not going to pick itself up on the ground, me. Always works out way better diving into people's pockets instead. So much for the new career path. Mind you, the boss was on his hands and knees picking up all kinds of rubbish from the floor. Thing is though, Cage would crash into the Crystal Tower, didn't it? So that's where most of the investigating was going on. Even so, I would have thought someone from Scotland Yard would have gathered it up as evidence. Cool, listen to you. You stumble across a bit of balloon, suddenly you're the best investigator in the world. Pardon? Oh, you ain't got a badge, have you? Like this one here. Could have arrested you with this if I wanted to. No. I wouldn't put it past her. Come to think of it, there was talk of some scorch on the ground at a meeting where we had about the investigation. Alright. Hold it! There was considerable damage to the stage and surrounding area, wasn't there? Yeah, some of the goes of what we were watching experiment were caught up in the blast and injured. Good job the old contraption didn't keel over, eh? I hadn't even considered that. It seems there was a great panic after the incident occurred. Nevertheless, the police shouldn't have missed a torn piece of the envelope from a balloon. Inspector Gregson can expect repercussions. Like me swiping in fish and chips, eh? The man's sole pleasure. None of this matters! A scopo balloon envelope means nothing! Niente! Alright. Last one. You mean the color is wrong? Si, senor. I do not have any green balloons in my warehouse. And yet a piece of green cloth is found at the scene, and it's unmistakably from a balloon. Well, I do not know how that can be. For the sake of argument, let's say that a green balloon did explode above the stage. You couldn't therefore conclude that it happened on the day in question. Why not? There have been recreational balloon fights over Hyde Park operating from before the Great Exhibition. One could have exploded on some earlier date. Unfortunate, as I'm sure you'd agree. Do you believe it may have been from some earlier balloon accident that precedes the exhibition? Si, esattamente, as the signor says, and not from one of my balloons. Clearly, the Signor Grasso from Bohemian is mistaken about what he saw. Does not appear to be the case.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Master Gotts? It's Master Willem Gotts Exhibit Ornstein! It was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, something is very wrong. I know what I saw. There was a green balloon here. There, I swear all over Bohemia. You can speak as much bad language as you like, but it changes nothing. If you do not have evidence, Regrasso, then I must tell your parents to punish you, eh? Perhaps we'll let the judge decide when it comes to punishments. Evidence? What is this evidence? To give a simple example, young man. A photograph, for instance. Some tangible proof is of what you claim. Well, why don't you say so sooner? I have the photograph here. Good gracious! What? I had not been up in this balloon for a little while, so I was very excited. So I took lots and lots of photographs! Of the Crystal Tower, of the Bohemian exhibit, of the Secrets of London, of the Hot Ales here, the balloon! And the instantaneous kinesis experiment? Did you take a picture of that? Yeah, one picture. Really? You did take one? Well, all I wanted was to ride this balloon. I was not interested in boarding experiments. Never mind that. Can you show us that photograph? Of course. And then you will see. You will see that I am not lying. That I really did see a green balloon. Well, I see you're too shocked to speak. Yes, I think shocked is indeed the word, young man. Yeah, perhaps you cannot see that this is what a green balloon from this photograph, but that is not my fault! That's the fault of this stupid person who made the camera! That is one very Bohemian sounding cry. Very well, the court will accept this photograph as evidence. Photograph of the balloon has been entered to the court record. A photograph taken by Gotts whilst he was riding in a balloon. It shows another balloon that he claims was green and exploded moments after he took the shot. It's not my fault. It's the fault of the person who made the camera. Well, never mind. I'm sure you have plenty of wonderful sepia memories to take home with you. In any case, when exactly did you take that photograph? Well, it was on the day of the big explosion. You don't say. When I pressed the shutter release, there was this very loud bang, and a hot wind rushed over my face. That means this photograph was taken a split second before the explosion occurred. Well, if you ask me, this black and white photograph changes nothing. I cannot give the flying fig. Lovely language you've picked up. As I thought, Mr. Luna's testimony just doesn't quite add up. The young Bohemian boy claims to have seen another fourth balloon, but Mr. Luna vehemently denies the possibility. And it's hard to imagine that the man in charge could be mistaken about the number that were in the air. Still, this inconsistency must tell something, I'm sure. So this one, for some reason, doesn't have any passengers. So I am still curious to see what he thinks about that.
Objection!
Unfortunately, the photograph Mr. Gotts took can't tell us the color of the balloon. But it can tell us something else, something crucially important. What? It shows that the picture balloon wasn't carrying any passengers. Ah, my goodness, you're right. But surely all the balloons would have been carrying passengers. There'd be no sense in it otherwise. See, they are for pleasure, for seeing the view. Our balloons only fly with passengers. I mess up the accent again. Which tells us that the picture balloon isn't one of them. So when the incident occurred that day, There was a fourth balloon in the skies above the experimentation stage. The mysterious green balloon. I know nothing. Niente. I can only tell you one thing. If this balloon was not carrying passengers, then it was not one of mine.
Objection!
There are illegal tradesmen everywhere you care to look. Clearly, one such entrepreneur decided to capitalize on the opportunity presented by the Great Exhibition and managed to operate balloon flights on Mr. Lune's patch without him realizing. See, the compilation, trying to steal my profits. I did not notice because none of the experimento that went wrong on the stage. This fourth balloon exploded at the very same moment Mr. Asman was beamed from the stage below. Right, so scraps that fell on the ground after left him scorch marks. They didn't come from the stage at all. It was bits of balloon raining down. Because no one was in it, it didn't get no attention. A mysterious fourth balloon carrying no passengers, silently floating over the experimentation stage.
Objection!
This photograph shows us nothing more. A stray balloon carrying no one and operated by some rogue trader. Clearly has nothing to do with the case. Its relevance does elude me, I must say. This court has seen sufficient evidence and heard ample testimony already. The prosecution calls for this trial to be concluded. Really? Have we really got to the truth yet? No, I can't let this opportunity slip away. The jurors' minds are made up, and not in our favor. What else can this photograph tell us? Is there nothing more we can learn from it? Well, I'm not gonna just sit here and say, oh, there's nothing we can glean from it. Obviously, there's more.
Objection!
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, wait! Please don't give your decisions yet. The photograph of Master Gotts may well be hiding one more vital clue. What's that? A vital clue?
Objection!
We're well past the point of mere possibilities. It's time for definitives now. So tell the court. What exactly does the alleged clue in the photograph prove? Well, it proves the cause of the explosion. We can reasonably assume that the picture balloon was destroyed in the searing heat of the explosion. Yeah, that's right, yeah. It was not my fault. Evidently. Because the birdcage from the kinesis machine materialized in the sky where it had been flying. And the balloon, being filled with flammable hydrogen, instantly and explosively ignited.
Objection!
No, that's not what happened. What? It would appear that this photograph requires closer examination. Counsel for the defense, you will highlight the location of this alleged clue in the photograph for the court. Hit the button a little too early. Of course, my lord. If you look closely, it's plain enough to see. And what's shown is linked to another piece of evidence we have, in a way that leads to an unbelievable conclusion. Clue that heavily suggests the real reason Blue's photo is... It's like right there.
Take that!
The timing of this photograph can only be described as miraculous. If you look, you notice there's a bright white line that appears to point directly at the balloon. Most likely a ray of light caught incidentally on the film. I'm afraid I can see nothing of the sort. You blind? If you look with a magnifying glass, my lord, it becomes clear what the nature of this bright line really is. Goodness, what is that? Undeniably, some flash of light, yes. Oh, golly, do you think it might be lightning? But it couldn't have been a finer day. I believe we may be looking at fire. A bolt of fire headed straight for the balloon, like an arrow. Indeed, even to my aging eyes, it would appear to be a flame of some sort. My word! Are you suggesting this flame struck the hydrogen gas that filled the balloon?
Objection!
That's absurd. The balloon would have been 60 feet above the ground at the time. No flame could possibly have reached such a height.
Objection!
Actually, it's my opinion that a particular piece of evidence found at the scene reveals how that is exactly what did happen. What evidence? If such evidence exists, Counsel, then for goodness sake, present it, man! Which evidence explains this mysterious streak of flame that appears to be headed directly for the balloon? Well, it's the crossbow, because we established that earlier it would be able to shoot things, so crossbow should be able to launch something like that if we were like a flaming arrow.
Take that!
This was found hidden at the foot of a small ornamental tree near the scene. Good lord! Is that a crossbow? An arrow dipped in oil instead of light could have been shot from this weapon, sending a flaming arrow straight into the hydrogen-filled balloon. Are you suggesting that crossbow was used to deliberately? Blimey, you're right! It looks just like an arrow, doesn't it? Then, the explosion of the balloon, it was very likely the result of a flaming arrow from this crossbow, igniting the hydrogen gas inside it. No! Oh, we got him. We got him good, guys! Order, order! Counsel, this is an extraordinary superstition. If the aim was to cause the balloon to explode, the shooter could have used a gun, of course. However, there's an obvious reason why that would have been out of the question. The noise of the discharge? Of course. That's right. By using a crossbow, the projectile could be fired at the balloon silently. Well, yeah, if someone had shot a gun off the exhibition grounds, it would have caused a real panic. But with the big explosion, there was a very big panic anyway, no? I don't like this. I should be pleased to have found a plausible explanation for all this, but something feels wrong.
Objection!
Do you understand the implications of what you're saying, my Nipponi's friend? If a flaming arrow did indeed hit the balloon, then obviously it would have exploded. And if the birdcage appeared from a cloud of smoke that ensued... What? Wait a minute! What are you really saying here? I don't get it. Was a birdcage beamed up into the sky after all? Or what? My goodness me! Ah, now I understand. That's what that sinking feeling is about. I think there's a good chance that the birdcage was actually concealed inside the balloon all along. What? Did I hear that correctly, Counsel? There's no going back now. The horse has bolted. Let's assume, as I said, that the birdcage was hidden inside the green balloon from the start. On stage, when the experiment was started, the birdcage in the instantaneous kisses between disappeared in a cloud of smoke. And that moment, the flaming arrow was fired from the ground, causing the green balloon to explode and drawing the attention of the spectators to the sky above their heads. From amid the smoke, the hidden birdcage then appeared to fall down and crash into the crystal tower. I think you'll all agree it's entirely possible. That's what I've just described as the real truth behind the miraculous experiment carried out that day. Good grief!
Objection!
This is ludicrous! What you've described is no science experiment! It's child's play! a contemptible display of stage magic! Both Mr. Sholmes and Ira said the experiment was a scientific impossibility. In which case, this is the only way to explain what happened that day. And in any case, the victim's body was found inside the birdcage in the Crystal Tower. If the instantaneous cases didn't take place, how do you explain that? If I may put in a word, as a man of magic myself, such apparent discrepancies can easily be explained by some simple deception. Juror number 3! All that would be needed is a doppelganger, someone who looked very similar to the victim, Mr. Asman. And having this other man appear on stage in front of the show as a body double. Yes, of course. So in fact, Mr. Asman must have been inside the birdcage that's concealed inside the balloon right from the start.
Objection!
That balloon would have been filled with hydrogen. Anything hidden inside it would have been scattered to the 4 winds when it exploded. No one would ever have embarked on such a risky venture. Not necessarily. The explosive force of the balloon gas would very much depend on the mixture ratio. Juror number 4. Blind balloons are rarely filled with pure hydrogen, but a mixture of other gases such as helium as well. Helium on its own doesn't explode, but by controlling the gas mixture ratio, the explosive force can be altered. The mixture ratio? Obviously, the victim's body would have suffered some burns. That would be unavoidable. But not to such an extent as to render this whole obscene charade impossible. So everything that happened can be explained logically and scientifically. The explosion that engulfed the stage at the start of the experiment was no accident. It was all part of an elaborate deception to make it appear that instantaneous kinesis had occurred. Well, goodness me. And if we accept that as this what happened, it means that the victim, Mr. Asman, was never present on the public experimentation stage to begin with. In short, he couldn't have been killed by the defendant, who was on stage in full view the entire time. This will be very hard for the prosecution to counter. Lord Van Seeds can't credibly maintain that Professor Harebrane is a suspect now. Of course. Mr. Naruhodo, I appreciate your efforts. Thank you. Professor? But you can stop now. Just keep your mouth shut, please. Sorry? What's all this about, Mr. Harebrane? I, Albert Harebrane, hereby confess that it was me who stabbed Mr. Odie. Why? Why? Yes, it was me with my faithful friend and partner, Andrew the Screwdriver. What? What are you doing? Oh my god, you're an idiot! Like, save it for after the trial, dude! Order, order, order! Defendant, explain this sudden confession!
Objection!
Professor Harebrane, what are you talking about? It's what I've said all along. I must protect my hypothesis and my precious machine. You stand there and claim it was all a trick, an elaborate prank, but what's your proof? No, you'd have to examine the machine if you wanted to prove it, but then it would be all over. My beautiful hypothesis would be laid bare. I mean, the identity of it! It's clear that you drew the plans for the experiment, but you didn't actually build it. It's quite conceivable that you were duped, Professor, If you'll just let me, I can... Barak! Yes? I'll cooperate. I'll do whatever you say. I swear it. So please. Ensure special dispensation for scientific equipment act is adhered to and protect my creation! Seriously, dude. Like... Priorities, man! I have no idea what he's gonna do. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollow chalice at this critical juncture. Here's to my learned Nipponese friend. What? And his upcoming attempt to clarify the defense's position in the light of the accused's confession. Do you intend to formally assert that the experiment was nothing more than a conjuring trick? Because the moment you do, the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act that protects the professor's invention will cease to apply. The prosecution will then demand a rigorous examination of the machinery involved in order to establish the truth. However, if you acknowledge that the machine is genuine and instrumental in the victim's murder, any chance of investigating will be crushed, and the confidentiality of the professor's hypothesis preserved. Well, counsel, what's the defense's official position on the matter? What Professor Harebrane, my client, actually asked of me was to prove that the explosion on stage was an accident and protect the secrecy of his hypothesis. But there's no way to do that without implying the professor's guilt. Do I protect my client's life by asserting his innocence? Or do I uphold my client's requests but see him condemned? Either way, I can't avoid betraying his trust. You've been silent long enough. Isn't talking your trade, my learned friend? Or has all knowledge of English escaped your confused Nipponese mind? Ah, there we go. Back to the racism. Classic. Mr. Naruhodo! There's no escape here. I have to make a choice. But it's an impossible one. I have to give up on something. But what? The defense asserts that the defendant's instantaneous keys machine was in fact... I'm gonna have to go the conjuring trick. We have to pursue the truth. Ah! No! I can't say it! My client places faith in me! I can't just let him down. Why must I give up on? It's not the question you have to ask yourself here. Is what can I protect? Oh! Hello again, Mr. Naruhodo. It's been far too long. Susato! Susato-san! But what are you... Hiya, what? Miss you too. Ah! My first is a takedown in 6 months. There'll be time to talk later, Mr. Naruhodo. For now, we must concentrate on the task at hand. Which is working out not what I have to give up on, but what I can protect. Professor Harebrane? Ah, yes? Yesterday you told me that the science is the pursuit of truth. Well, my job is to pursue the truth too. Yes, of course. And personally, I believe that you didn't stab Mr. Asman. I think you've come to realize something yourself too, haven't you? That your experiment and the machine you built with the victim are questionable. The truth behind that is what we must both pursue now. Wah! So, you finally opened your eyes. What? And as for you, Albert. You can't ignore this any longer. Having heard my learned friend's assertion, don't you have something to say? But Barak... Lord Van Zeeks. Gosh, I've never heard him speak that way before. In truth, there is one thing, something I've remembered that's of relevance. What? On the day it happened, just before I began the experiment, I saw a man near the stage. A man holding that crossbow. I beg your pardon? Professor! Did the man have any distinguishing features? What did he look like? Taller than me, and thinner than me, with straight hair, straighter and wider than mine. Let me see. One less lens than me too, a monocle, very stylish black monocle. But one thing in particular will help to positively identify the man. You'll see, I know him very well. After all, he's the engineer who built my invention. What? He built the machine? Yeah, like, I remember that from earlier. I was like, when is that gonna come up? That's right. Mr. Asman introduced him to me a year ago. He's a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. Enoch Drebber! Does this name mean something? Members of the jury seem flustered. Not to name any scientist wishes to hear. The man's an abomination! Not to name any conjurer wishes to hear either! Who on earth is he? I'm afraid this isn't the first tale of this nature that I've heard in scientific circles in connection with that name. There's talk of other flamboyant experiments that turn out to be nothing but stage trickery in the end. Obviously, the rascal is after the government's research grant money. When magicians are in need of money, I have heard of them resorting to these underhanded tactics. Some acquaintances of mine with experience of such things have mentioned Enoch Drebber's name before. The man is both an engineer and a magician. Yes, we're dealing with an unparalleled confidence trickster here. That's Enoch Drebber for you. What is going on? So it's true then. My invention, my great machine, it was just a grand illusion? Considering what we've just heard about Mr. Drebber's character, I'm sorry to say that it sounds increasingly likely. Even though no one else believed it, I wanted to. I wanted to believe that machine would function exactly as my hypothesis predicted. Which is why you were so opposed to it being investigated, I presume. I knew that if the machine was examined in detail, its construction would give away my hypothesis. Obviously, I didn't want that to happen, but at the same time, I knew that if it was found to be nothing more than a trick, than a work of deception, then everything I've worked towards, all my research, all my dreams, my whole life would be over. I was terrified at the prospect. So you really had no idea then, did you? About the true nature of the machine that was built, and the true nature of Mr. Drebber. I never questioned anything. I didn't want to question it. It's entirely possible that Mr. Asman and Mr. Drebber were working together to use you as a means of fraudulently acquiring the research grant money. When I announced my invention to the crowds that day, it was the finest moment of my career. I pulled all the levers and turned all the dials in exactly the way Drebber had described. When the smoke suddenly started billowing out, I panicked. I didn't know what was happening. But I really don't know how the whole illusion was made to work. I don't know anything anymore. Let me confirm one final point with you, Professor. Do you now consent to the prosecution submitting the necessary paperwork to release your invention from the protection afforded by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? Yes. Please go ahead. I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. It would appear that we shall have to suspend proceedings for the remainder of the day now. Lord Van Zeeks? My lord? The court has newly been made aware of another party whose involvement in this matter is critical. Yes, Mr. Drebber. Gather information about the man. If possible, I should like him served with a subpoena. With pleasure, my lord. Now, counsel for the defense. Yes, my lord. When we reconvene, I shall be looking for one thing and one thing alone from you. Evidence that the defendant is innocent of the crime for which he presently stands accused. I understand. Good. In that case, this court is adjourned until tomorrow morning. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? I'm so sorry! I was wrong. You were right. I tricked you. You trusted me. I dragged you into my mess. Oh, how did it ever come to this? I'm so sorry! Did you really have no idea, Professor? About what Mr. Drebber was really up to, I mean. About what he was really constructing. Naturally. That machine was the embodiment of my hypothesis, of all my hopes and dreams. I had complete faith in it. Alright, in that case, I won't say any more. Now, sadly, the murder accusation against you still stands. So we must do as much investigation as we can before the trial resumes tomorrow. Well, thank you for doing so much for me. You! I'm so sorry for arriving late this morning, Mr. Naruhodo. Arriving late? Did you receive my postcard? I wanted to let you know when I'd arrive. Postcard? What postcard? I hid it from you, Runo, so it'd be a surprise! Well, did it work? I was surprised, alright, especially when you threw me to the ground. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I was just so happy to see you again that it sort of slipped out. Maybe we could stick to more traditional displays of emotion in future. Susie's train was late into London's Victoria this morning, you see. But we made the coachman really whip the horses hard so she didn't miss the whole trial. I was watching from the gallery for a while, but in the end, I'm afraid I couldn't contain myself. Well, I'm glad you didn't. Oh? Having you at my side in court gives me the strength I need to win. So, I'm, delighted to see you back in London. Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm delighted to be here. I hope I can continue to be of service to you. Of course. So, what's brought you back? Did Professor Mikotoba not protest? Let's save all that conversation for when we're back at home, shall we? You know, I've made one of my most special blends ever for this special occasion. Oh, Iris, how wonderful! I can't wait! Susato-san was back in London. It's hard to describe how happy that made me feel at the time, but despite my elation, our tale was about to take yet another extraordinary turn.